On a warm spring morning in April 1998, Ellara Mae Dawson was born in a small town nestled among rolling hills and cherry blossom trees. Her parents, Clara and Jonathan Dawson, were overwhelmed with joy. They named her Ellara after one of Jupiter's moons, a symbol of light, mystery, and boundless potential. From the moment she opened her eyes, Ellara had a calm, curious gaze. The nurses said she didn't cry as loud as the others, she simply looked around, as if already studying the world. Ellara grew up in a yellow house with a red door and a backyard full of dandelions. She loved to chase butterflies, paint rocks, and ask endless questions like, why do stars twinkle? And what does music taste like? She was especially close to her grandfather, a retired teacher who taught her how to read by age 4. They spent evenings with books, hot cocoa, and stories about constellations and far-off places. When he passed away when she was 10, it was Ellara's first encounter with grief. She didn't understand why someone who loved her so much could leave. But in his absence, she began to write small poems, little letters to the stars, stories with happy endings. Middle school was full of awkwardness and growth. Ellara was quieter than the others, often lost in books or sketching in her journal. But she found her people, a small group of theater kids and science nerds who loved her for exactly who she was. At 16, she fell in love for the first time, with a girl named Lila who wore combat boots and knew how to play the cello. They kissed under the bleachers after drama club, unsure and electric. It didn't last, but it was beautiful. That same year, Ellara discovered her voice as a writer. Her short story won a state competition, and a teacher told her, "You have something the world needs." Ellara attended a liberal arts college in Oregon. She majored in creative writing and minored in astronomy, still carrying the love of stars her grandfather had gifted her. She started a blog that gained a small, devoted following, writing about mental health, feminism, and the small sacredness of everyday life. In her 20s, she traveled, backpacking through Spain, working at a bookstore in Edinburgh, falling in love in Tokyo. She didn't rush to settle. She lived with intention, preferring tea shops to bars and sunrises to sleep-ins. Eventually, she met Alex, a soft-spoken software engineer who loved dogs and old jazz. They moved in together in a quiet apartment filled with plants and second-hand furniture. Ellara never thought she'd want children, until she held her daughter, Mira, for the first time. Her love was immediate and fierce. She wrote daily letters to Mira in a journal, capturing everything from her first steps to the way she mispronounced strawberry as strawbaby. She read her daughter bedtime stories and taught her that kindness was never wasted. Life wasn't always perfect. Ellara battled anxiety, experienced a miscarriage, and lost her mother, but she navigated the hard seasons with honesty and grace. She published 2 novels in her 30s. One became a quiet bestseller. She never chased fame, but she cherished when readers told her, "Your words helped me feel seen." Ellara and Alex moved to a cottage near the ocean once Mira went to college. They hosted Sunday dinners, took long walks, and adopted a golden retriever named Sirius. She became a writing mentor, helping young authors find their voices. Her home always had a kettle on, and her porch light stayed on late into the night. When Alex passed away in his sleep, Ellara mourned deeply. But she continued, as she always had, with words, nature, and love as her companions. Ellara aged gracefully, her silver hair often tied back in a bun, her voice soft but sure. She wore oversized sweaters and kept little rocks from beaches in jars labeled with dates. Mira visited often, bringing her own children, who loved their star grandma. Ellara told stories with twinkling eyes and passed down the journal she had written since Mira's birth. On her 86th birthday, surrounded by family and friends, Ellara made a wish and whispered, "Let me leave behind light." A year later, she died peacefully at home, with Mira holding her hand and the sound of ocean waves drifting through the window.